Hi, this is Leanne at Complete Payroll. Welcome to Payroll Country. Today we're going to take a look at how to complete the setup and payroll entries for employees on leave under the Families First Coronavirus Response Act, or FFCRA, in Evolution Payroll. First and foremost, new earning and deduction codes must be set up in your company. If you have not requested setup for FFCRA leave, please contact your dedicated customer service representative to begin that process now. To begin setup in Evolution Payroll, click on the Employees tile on the left and double-click on the desired employee. From the menu of options on the left side of the screen, select Time Off Accrual. Next, click the Add button to create a new record. In the Detail window, click into the Type field and select FFCRA Sick Plan from the drop-down menu. In the Accrued field, enter 2 times the employee's average hours weekly. Next, click into the Effective Date window. This will prompt a pop-up window to appear. Enter the reason for the update appropriately and click Save. Now enter the date that the employee began their leave in the Effective Date field and click the black diskette icon in the upper left of the screen to save changes. The balance will populate automatically after saving. If the employee is eligible for FFCRA expanded leave for childcare, click the Add button to create a new record. Click into the Type field and select FFCRA Expanded Leave from the drop-down menu. In the Accrued field, enter 10 times the employee's average hours weekly. Next, click into the Effective Date window, prompting the pop-up window to appear, and enter the reason and click Save. Now enter the date that is 2 weeks after the employee first begins FFCRA sick leave. For example, if an employee began sick leave on April 3rd, enter April 17th as the effective date for the expanded leave benefit. Click the black diskette icon in the upper left screen to save changes. The balance will populate automatically after saving. Repeat these steps as needed for additional employees. The next step in setup of our leave benefits is in Scheduled EDs, where we'll need to add special memo codes created for reporting purposes. Click the Scheduled EDs tile. If necessary, select the desired employee from the drop-down menu in the window showing the current employee above the grid. Click the Add button to create a new record. Click into the Code field and select M20 FFCRA ER Benefit from the drop-down menu. Next, click the Schedule tab and enter the employee's expected date of return from leave in the Ending field. Click the black diskette icon in the upper left of the screen to save changes. An important note here is if the leave is not taken for the anticipated amount of time, this ending date must be adjusted before processing payroll once the employee has returned from leave. One last step for setup is needed if there is an employer health cost for this employee, and the employee does not currently have an active deduction for employer-sponsored healthcare. In this case, click the Add button to create a new record. Click into the Code field and select the appropriate code for your company, possibly EERM or M11. Next, enter the appropriate pay period cost in the Amount field. Click the black diskette icon in the upper left of the screen to save changes. Repeat these steps as needed for additional employees. Now that the leave benefits are set up in Employee Maintenance, we'll take a look at how to enter the appropriate leave hours and earnings in payroll. Click the Payroll tile, and after creating your payroll and batch, add the following codes to your quick entry grid. ES1, Emergency Sick Self, ES2, Emergency Sick Other, and EF1, Emergency FMLA. To add a column for any new code, click the 3 stacked lines in the bottom right corner of the grid. In the search window under Available Columns, type the word Emergency to filter the list. Click and hold on the desired code with the hours description, drag the item to the current columns, and release in the desired location. You may add the amount columns at your discretion, but the hours columns are necessary and amounts will auto-calculate. Once your columns are set with these codes, enter the full number of hours the employee normally averages for a pay period in the appropriate ED codes. To enter hours manually on your summary grid, use ES1 Emergency Sick Self Full if an employee is unable to work or unable to telework due to a need for leave because the employee is subject to a federal, state, or local quarantine or isolation order related to COVID-19, has been advised by a healthcare provider to self-quarantine related to COVID-19, or is experiencing COVID-19 symptoms and is seeking a medical diagnosis. Use ES2, Emergency Sick Other, 2/3, for the first 2 weeks if the employee is unable to work or unable to telework due to a need for leave because the employee is caring for an individual subject to an order of quarantine or self-quarantine, as described previously, is caring for a child whose school or place of care is closed or child care provider is unavailable for reasons related to COVID-19, or is experiencing any other substantially similar condition specified by the Secretary of Health and Human Services in consultation with the Secretaries of Labor and Treasury. Use EF1, Emergency FMLA, for any additional weeks up to 10 weeks the employee is unable to work or unable to telework due to a need for leave because the employee is caring for a child whose school or place of care is closed or child care provider is unavailable for reasons related to COVID-19. Again, because this is important, enter the full number of hours each employee normally averages for a pay period. In other words, do not enter 2/3 of normal hours for emergency sick or FMLA. Enter the full hours and evolution will compensate at 2/3 and follow the appropriate threshold. If you import your hours from our timekeeping system, SwipeClock or TimeWorks Plus, these codes have been added to the category column selection on the employee time card. You can add the appropriate hours for each employee just as you would any other hours while editing your time cards. It is equally important to use the full number of hours the employee normally averages for a pay period on the time card. Once all time cards are updated, continue and import into Payroll as usual. If you are entering benefits for a salaried employee who is earning both salary and FFCRA amounts in the same pay period, you must create a second check for their regular salary earnings. This is required because upon pre-processing, any salary amount on the same check with FFCRA hours will be zeroed out to prevent the employee from accidentally being paid for both. On the second check, you will need to adjust the salary amount and remove any scheduled deductions that should not be duplicated. For assistance creating this additional check, please reach out to your customer service representative. Once all hours and earnings are entered, continue steps to complete your payroll processing as usual. This concludes our demonstration of how to complete FFCRA leave for an employee in Evolution Payroll. If you have any questions about this process, please reach out to your dedicated customer service representative. We are here to help like always. Thank you for joining me today, and from all of us in Payroll Country, stay safe and be well.